The boy Dub Deuce in the building.
What up, what up, what up? It is that guy Dub, and I'm back with another video. How y'all doing at the end of the day? Shout out, I'm Good Money. And today, we got a special guest in the building, Mr. PFV. What's going on, my brother?
Hey, man, how's it going? So I had to start this up and do all this weird stuff because I've never used this platform before. So that's why I was a little bit late. I'm doing well, though, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good myself, man. Just entering this interview space where like I said, I'm trying to interview interesting people, but also give a message to the kids because we're living in crazy times. You know what I mean?
We definitely are living in crazy times. So giving good message to anyone, not just kids, is definitely a good thing. But giving good message to the kids is always even more important.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you said your background, you're a rapper. So how did you get started in the music industry?
A long time ago. The music industry or rapping?
I mean, it's all entertainment. So you got to be on social media. You got to like many things that you have to do. So how did you come to be?
Also, sorry if you hear that random the landscaping people. Wow, landscaping people are mowing the lawn right now, dude. They just mowed the lawn like 3 days ago, but it was storming here really bad, right? So our grass grew like crazy. From like Monday to Friday, it grew like 8 inches of grass. It was ridiculous. But anyways, I started making music when I was young. I started playing a ton of instruments, and yeah, unlike these landscaping guys, they play the mower. It's a very loud instrument. I started playing the trumpet when I was a kid. And after I played the trumpet, that led to me being in band, and I played a bunch of different instruments throughout school. And then I picked up the guitar because I started playing Guitar Hero and it wasn't challenging enough. So then I began playing real guitar. I got my first guitar from a pawn shop, and that was in high school. I just kept playing guitar and played for years. And then when I got older, I started singing and doing touring around, doing acoustic music. And then I started rapping. I don't know. I've pretty much been making music for like 2 decades.
Okay. So what are some of your influence in the music industry, especially with rap?
So I'm not directly influenced by, a lot of people would be like, oh man, I love Kendrick Lamar, or I'm influenced by Big Crit or something like that. I'm not influenced by other rappers. I'm influenced by life and the sounds of life and whatever happens to me, right? Okay. So like if something happens to me in real life, I'm influenced by that to create a sound that kind of mirrors how I felt in that moment, right?
Yeah. Well, see, that's an interesting perspective because you said like most people you talk to would not come up with something that intricate. You said, but let's change it up then. Who is somebody you have in your playlist that you can ride to?
I like listening to A Boogie and Lil Baby when I listen to rap. I like a lot of music that's just literally there for background vibes. If I'm doing something, it kind of elevates that. So I like a lot of stuff like that. I listen to The Weeknd a lot. I'm a huge Ed Sheeran fan. I listen to Ed Sheeran all the time.
Okay. So I saw in your story that you had something going on with the WWE. You was talking about your song should have been played instead of, you said Uzi. You said, so what was that whole experience?
I didn't mean. That's funny, man. I didn't mean instead of Uzi because, we had the record with Uzi when he performed for the Usos coming out. That was like at WrestleMania, and we had just dropped that We the Ones record literally like that day or the day before. So that's just unrealistic anyways. But I was just mentioning that we should perform that song at a live event sometime this year.
Well, see, me personally, I'm a wrestling fan, but I have never gotten around to getting to an actual wrestling event. You say it's like I look at you, and I also look at the people like Griselda, especially like a West Side Gun, who are really heavy into wrestling. So, what's that experience like? Sitting front row, or where you can literally reach out and touch them. What's that experience like?
Dude, it's actually really fun. So, wrestling is super silly because on the internet or the TV, when you watch it, you hear the announcers and stuff, right? It's like this crazy thing. You hear the announcer going crazy. When you're there live, you don't hear the announcers. You're just like watching the event. So all you see and hear is the performers. and the crowd and stuff, and then the like Titantron thing. So it's just a whole different experience than what you would see on TV. And also being right there next to it, it's funny because, you know, people say whatever you want about wrestling, but when you're right there, you're like wow, that guy just flipped 12 feet in the air and landed on that dude. That's just insane. I don't care if someone's not really punching me in the face or not. If they're jumping 12 foot off of a turnbuckle and into the sky and landing on my chest, I don't want a 300-pound dude ever doing that. So definitely. Like when you know, it's like when you watch that on TV, you don't kind of like cringe almost like, oh shit, don't do that. But when you're there in person, you're like literally right next to it, right? That's what happens. Like when someone gets hit or someone gets hit with a chair or something, you're like, oh shit. You know, it literally looks like it's gonna hurt somebody. So it's just a whole different vibe.
Right. Well, I've got a few friends that are actually on the indie circuit here in Ohio that I go to see every now and again. And I did exactly what you said. It's like, I mean, you can hear the announcers that are using karaoke machines or whatever to talk, but the same thing when somebody's jumping off a turnbuckle. I got a buddy of mine named Jackson Cade. He's about easily 350 something, and he's got a move where he jumps off the top rope onto somebody on the ground. And he's so big, so yeah, it's like, oh man, this is like.
That's what I'm saying, man. It would just hurt, you know. And crowd energy there is always incredible. The crowd energy at a regular WWE event, let's say like fucking SmackDown or Raw or something, even the energy there is like NBA playoff level.
Okay.
Like, the fans are just so down for everything. They all know what's going on at every time. What?
That's definitely awesome because I love crowd stuff. It's like just we're talking about crowds and stuff like that. He's like, Kevin Hart's going to be here in Ohio May 18th at the Football Hall of Fame, and definitely.
Oh, nice! I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm definitely planning on trying to take the wife to that. It's just like, because like I said, I've always been a boring homebody. Usually, I go to work and I come home and stuff like that. But so like I ask questions when it comes to like you being out at these events and you doing concerts. You say it's like, so on the flip side, what's it like for you being on stage instead of being in the crowd? You said like, what's the feeling that you get being people come to see you instead of you coming to see them?
I don't know. I've always just kind of been naturally a performer, so I really thrive in that scenario. And for a while, it led me to this really bougie attitude where I didn't want to go to anybody's concert because I just didn't like being in the crowd. And I don't know, I don't like those confined spaces where people are just like, everyone's touching my shoulders and shit. You know, I don't really like that. So when you're on stage, it is a whole different vibe, you know. It's kind of like doing a live stream for people. You kind of lead the energy, you lead the room for so long, and I don't know, it's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I say that about being in a crowd, but every time I do a live show, I get in the crowd and rap a verse always, like no matter how big the show is. I mean, we did a show one time that was like a 1,400 cap, and I just jumped down into the crowd and had everyone like circle around me and just like rapped a whole verse. And then I've like crowd surfed and rap verses. So I do stuff like that, but I hate being like that for the whole entire show, you know, like just like everyone around you clenched up.
That's funny because I totally understand that, because you know back in the day when we see Michael Jackson or you see other performances and stuff like that, you would see video of people being carted out of the crowd because they done passed out or something like that. Now a lot of people are like, oh my God, he passed out or she passed out because of Michael Jackson. No, down there if it's that many people, it's hot.
Oh, dude, it's hot. It's like it's uncomfortable. People are putting themselves through extreme conditions, like they need to go to the bathroom or something and they literally just don't. They need a drink of water and they don't. You have diabetics out there who don't have crackers or something in their pocket, but they can't walk away because they'll lose their spot. You know, it's like there's so much shit going on in crowds that people don't even account for.
I was actually having that conversation, I think a couple months back, about the whole Astro World situation. It was just like, do you realize it was that many people? You did not have enough staff on hand to accommodate that many people. You see, so
definitely not.
And it's just like, okay, yeah, we can sit there and blame the artists, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, but at the end of the day.
So yeah, it's definitely part the staff, part the artist, because If you watch that whole entire thing, it definitely seems like he incites that kind of behavior. But uh, it's partial. You know, it's like you can blame a lot of people because the fault isn't just one single person, but you got to be staffed for stuff like that, man. Because being in the crowd is an extreme sport. People don't even understand that. That's why, honestly, I kind of commend the crowd. You know, it's like you must really want to see me live to be in that crowd. Like, so that's awesome. And you always got to have a tremendous amount of thanks to those people because they're great and they're literally involved in an extreme sport to see you.
Exactly. And it's like, it's funny to me, you said, because like I said, it's hot down there. You said a lot of times you could blame it on personal responsibility or whatever. You can blame it on anything, just like we were just saying. But also at the end of the day, you have to think about where you were at. You were in freaking Texas. Texas is hot.
Oh. Dude, Texas is hot like in the winter. That's not good.
Absolutely not. It's so like, have you ever performed at a festival like that, or you said, or was it more like club events? You said like, so where have you done most of your stuff at?
I don't think I've done a festival. I did one that was in a huge parking lot one time, so there was like probably 1,000 people at an event, but it wasn't a festival. Because you know, those festivals, you're talking like 30, 40,000 people. It's crazy numbers. No, the largest events that I've ever done were probably like in between 1,500 and 2,000 people. I mean, it's a lot of people, but it's not, you know, it's not a festival.
I mean, that's maybe not, but you at the end of the day, like you just said, 1,500 people to 2,000. That's a lot of bodies, you know.
That's Bro, it's hot. It gets hot on stage, man. So like even, you know, even in a small venue, say that you're doing a show for 100 people. The hell, say that you're doing a show for 40 people. It's hot, dude. When you're on stage, it's hot. So like especially in an indoor venue, it's a hot, dude. So like, and then when you add 1,000 people to that on stage, like that heat just comes up towards you on stage too.
Plus, then you add in alcohol, not a whole lot of
Oh,
water. So you got people that are dehydrated. You know, I mean, like, but like you said, it's almost like you're willing to be part of an extreme sport to come see your favorite artist. You know, so like, so as an artist, that's got to
yeah.
feel great and just the love you like, because I know when you do your events, I know you've got plenty of fans that you know every word and and they're singing it to you. So like, what's that? Like to me, I've done music before in my past, and like when people would know the words, it's almost like an exhilarating feeling. So like, what kind of feeling do you get when people are singing your words back to you?
That's always the most fun part of the show when people are saying things back to you because it's kind of validation for what you're doing. And you see other people caring about, obviously, you know, when you make music, you're very passionate about it and you care about the product more than anything. So seeing someone else care about the product so much that they know it just like you do is cool. And I always laugh because I suck at memorizing my lyrics. So usually my fans that do that know them better than I do. And I'm like, yo, you want to rap this song? Because this is hard for me.
Okay, you said like switching gears. You said like you're all over social media. I'd pull to be like, dude, you're on damn near everything. It's just like, and we're living in a time where these kids are getting on social media and they're not able to handle the comment section. So how do you manage your comment section, and what advice would you give to children that may feel some type of way because people are not necessarily nice in their comment section?
So those people are always going to be there, and usually them being mean is a projection of their own insecurity. So they don't like themselves, so they're saying negative stuff to you. If you like yourself, you're never going to want to say negative things to other people to try to make you feel better. And the only reason they're doing it is because they think that it makes them feel better. Because if they can hurt you, put a chink in your armor, or if they can say something that gets your attention, that puts them above you in some way in their mind. It's their form of validation. So you just have to realize that none of those people actually matter. The internet is a fake world. And 99% of those people, there's some realistic elements to it, but 99% of those people are never going to say that to you because they probably don't even think what they're typing.
Mm-hmm. And see, that's funny because I always say that I tell my kids not to worry about using the comment section because I don't. Because at the end of the day, whoever typed that, you still got to go back to your miserable life after you stop typing. You just like
straight up.
So yeah, you said like it might irked my nerves or something like that because you said something or you like. But I'm at the end of the day, appreciate the engagement on the content. You saying whatever. I've always been that kind of way. That kind of stuff doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? But it's like with these kids. I
Yeah,
mean, they're
what's really funny is that online, it's really weird that negativity spreads further than positivity. So if you wanted clout and you wanted engagement, you want people to hate you more than you want people to like you. It's very strange.
that's crazy too. Because like I mean, as I've done my YouTube stuff, I played around with different titles and stuff like that, and just I think my biggest video was a reaction video to Childish Gambino's "This Is America," which did almost 500,000 views, which was pretty cool. Because but everybody else put "This Is America" reaction. I said the most epic reaction to Childish Gambino, "This Is America," and it did better than a lot of people that I saw. You know, so like it's it's crazy like that. And then of course, like even with the whole Jamie Foxx thing that's going on right now, a lot of these media outlets are putting out there that he's worse for wear and he's doing really bad. But then you look at his own personal, you saying social media, he's like, I'm better, thanks for the prayers, stuff like that. But the media is spinning, the narrative on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're always going to spread lies and negativity and stuff because that stuff goes further. Now, if they would put out, it's just like nobody gives anything about you until you die, and then on Twitter you're the number one trend. So it's like it's it's so silly. I don't fully understand the psychology of it, especially with humans. I think it's because people want to argue with the negative a little bit more, and misery loves company. So even if there's a minority that feels that way, once they have company, they're vocal about it, I guess.
Right.
So that's why it spreads like wildfire. But it is silly to see that you'll be the number one trend if you so say that Jamie Foxx would say that he's okay, he wouldn't be trending because people, he was like he's fine. Everyone would be like, oh, that's cool. But if it says that he's gonna die, people are like, oh my god, RIP, oh my god, I can't believe this, oh my god, blah blah blah. They all want to say something. It's I don't know, man. I'm dumbfounded by that, to be honest.
You said absolutely, me too, because I think it's like Charlemagne the God says, nobody cares about the truth when the lie is more entertaining. And to me, like you just said, that is an absurd construct. You just
Yeah, I guess if you could understand it, you would be it. So it's really hard to even talk about it or force yourself into understanding because you can't. You just simply can't because you're not it. You're not that type of person that operates and thinks that way. So you'll never know.
I mean, I guess it's like on the flip side of that, it's like if you're seeing a car crash, when you're coming up on the car crash, it's going to be pretty bad, but you can't not look. You know what I mean?
I have trained myself to not look.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
It's so I drive a lot. You drive a lot more than me. But I drive a lot, and I travel all over the country, and I would always see car wrecks, and I hate how traffic slows down whenever there's a car wreck. And 90% of it is just because everyone is going by and staring at the car wreck. So I train myself to, if I see it, I don't do this. I don't look over. I just keep going because I don't want to be that problem. I want to be the change in the world that helps that problem not exist. So it's probably a very small scale of people who would think like that because a lot of people don't drive all the time.
Right. But and then a lot of other, like we just said a second ago, a lot of other people, they don't know how to not look. You know what I'm saying? And so that's
Yeah.
crazy too. It's like you said you've traveled the country. So like right now, what is your favorite place to go?
Dude, that is the greatest question that I've ever been asked. Just because it's so like I don't even know. This is so tough. Oh man. I go through phases, man. I'll love Miami for a while and then I'll be like, I don't really want to be on the beach right now. I want to do something like Chicago, I don't know.
Okay. Well, you said staying
What
in
about yourself?
Miami.
What about yourself? Where's your favorite place right now?
My favorite place right now is probably would be Denver, Colorado. You said like when there's snow on the ground,
Beautiful.
but clear. You know what I mean? Because it's like if you
Yeah.
like stop at a rest area or something like that, and you said you open your curtains after you wake up, and you said you see like the mountains and everything, like some of the most beautiful visuals you'll see. You know what I mean? Vegas coming down I-15 at nighttime is real beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah, he's the skyline of Chicago, like it's beautiful to see when you're on the highway. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's like I just love traveling as well. So I mean, that I definitely appreciate you for that question because most people don't ask you that. So
yeah. So right now, I'm kind of really hip to Gatlinburg and Smoky Mountains, and going up to the mountains and being in a cabin and stuff. Like that's really partial to that right now. It is funny that as you get older, you appreciate that more and more. You know, when you're younger, you're like, oh my God, I want to be in the thick of it. I want to be downtown New York City. I'm about to be in Brooklyn right now. Then you get older and you're like, can I get a cabin in the woods?
Right. You said with a rocking chair on the front porch. You know.
That's what I'm saying, man. I get my coffee in the morning, you know, maybe a little glass of tequila at night, watch the sunset over the mountains, and listen to the sound of absolutely nothing.
It's crazy because when we get older, we enjoy those creature comforts that we saw our parents have when we were younger. We're like, oh my God, that's so boring. You said, but like now we're like, bring it on. You said,
yeah,
break out the candles from Cracker Barrel. You said with the little wood stems and whatever your favorite coffee, tequila, and and just some good time, just good vibes, man. It's like I love it,
dude. I'm telling you, it is, man. That's something that you can never get enough of, honestly. And it is funny to see yourself become the parent and then merge into enjoying those things. I don't know, maybe that's just the progression of life.
Absolutely. Now you said that like you're a parent. You said so like how do you keep your kids? How do you keep your kids safe when you post certain things on social media? Because you said I know that eventually they might see something, or you say where you might have had a hater, or because that one big thing that's going on right now is people using fake accounts. They're taking your pictures, taking your content, they're taking pictures of your children, and they're using it for nefarious purposes. So how do you balance that and keep your sanity while also still staying level headed for you and your family?
Yeah, so I am always myself, whether it's the internet or real life. So I'll act the same way. So if there's ever something about me on the internet, and that would come up to my kids, it's not like dad is going through some crazy thing on the internet. Like I have to explain to them this is a certain way that I was, and this nope. It's like if I say it on the internet, I would say it around my kid. I don't treat anything as taboo either. So like I'm not like, hold on a second. I am about to go outside and just kick the lawnmower, dude. But I don't. I always act the same, and then I also tell them that it's a fake world and people on there don't act the same. So you have to be very, very wary of those people, and they kind of know that that's going to happen. And I don't hide that from them. A lot of times, parents I know will hide stuff like that from their children, and the more you hide, the more the kid wants to know. So as long as I'm open and transparent with my kid about all that stuff and don't treat anything as taboo, they don't want to do that. I know personally that one thing is like a lot of people, I'm going to cite a small example. A lot of people don't like to curse around their kids. I curse around my kids a lot. And now my daughter, because I never wanted it to be like she goes to school and figures out these curse words and then wants to say them behind my back. Right. So now my daughter doesn't even want to curse. And she like scoffs at me. She's like, Dad, can you stop cursing? You know, if I'm like, oh shit, she's like, you know, so to her, she grew up with that thing not being taboo, because I've always seen that, man. People think it's taboo. Like kids start drinking because their parents hide their liquor and say, no, don't do this. It's just whatever you tell kids not to do, they're going to want to do. Right.
I mean, that's true.
If you're one of those people that tells your kid, you know, not to be on the internet or whatever, guess what they're going to want to do? Guess what? Every time they get away from you, they're going to go behind your back and read those posts from those fake people, and they're going to think that they're real because you haven't taught them about it yet.
I mean, that's true. And it's like, it's crazy because, I mean, you're absolutely right, because even thinking back in hindsight, we listened to what our parents said, but we watched more of what they did instead of you and use that as an example. And so actually that particular style of parenting, it's a little more helpful. It's a little more realistic. So definitely kudos to you on that. But I see you got you saying you're saying your Browns hat on. So how big of a football fan are you?
So I'm actually not an incredibly huge football fan, just slightly. I watched some games, went to some Browns games. Uh, I work with a company that we were doing video stuff and working with the Browns on some stuff. So I got some gear. I was at a bunch of Browns games, met a lot of those guys. So that's why. And now I support the Browns because, dude, I've always been from Akron, so like Cleveland's right up there.
Right. And see, that's funny because I'm a big football fan, but like I think I'm more of that football fan. I know everybody that's on the team that I like. I don't give a damn about none of the rest of them. Like you get those sports nerds that they know what you said, what every team, what their star running back did in combine. It's like, dude, I don't care about none of that, man.
Yeah.
And it's just
crazy.
Like,
I don't know. I enjoy watching it when I watch it, but
right. It's just like because we have all these subgenres of people. You say like, okay, let's say you're a car guy, okay, and you go to a car meet and there's a bunch of different styles of cars, but then you also have your subgenres. Okay, well, you might have people who like old school cars with big rims, and then you got the other people who like those same old school cars, but they want stock rims, and they look at the people who, oh my God, you're tearing up the car because you put big wheels on it, or you put a sound system in it. So like it's funny to me, like mixing subgenres of people, you know what I mean? And with that being said, I was like,
yeah.
You said, what would you categorize? You said like the music you listen to. You said, would you categorize it as you said like your favorite, or would you categorize it as like you said just something you just listen to because you like your own stuff more?
Oh, that's a good question. So I always say that I'm my favorite artist and I listen to my music more than I listen to anyone else's. But the reason is not because I think I'm so cool. A lot of people always get this one misconstrued, but it's because I'm my own favorite artist because I say what's real to me. So when I listen to my music, I hear what I would want to hear. It's like not only do I make what I want to hear, the things that I say, I relate to more than I relate to anybody else. I can't relate to someone else's life more than I relate to my own life. So I'm going to listen to that song because it's going to remind me of a time, that I like or is something. So I make something that's perfectly catered to my taste. Right. So I would be my favorite artist, listen to myself all the time. But then all the other stuff I listen to is just stuff that I either relate to or I like the sound of it. And I like to listen to, if I do find an artist that I enjoy listening to, I make sure it has that person doesn't really sound anything like what I would ever sound like. Cause I don't want to be influenced by other people. I don't want my record to come on and people are like, oh, this sounds exactly like this. So I'll definitely switch it up a lot and I'll listen to a lot of different genres of music, but I really, really try to stay away from that. And I know that if I ever make something that slightly sounds like somebody else, I'm like, I gotta make a new song.
Okay. He says like when you go into the studio, like what is your ritual that you do that like to help you stand apart from everybody else?
So I pretty much go with the first thing that comes to my head every single time. Because almost like freestyling, but not really. I'll do a couple lines at a time. Sometimes I'll write stuff down, but I always go with the feeling as opposed to trying to overthink it. Right. So say that a beat comes on and it's literally the first flow that I have in my head. That's what I do. Okay. So it feels like it's, unfiltered. The first thing that happens is what it's going to be. Cause I know I'm going to make 1,000 songs. So whatever happens in that moment happens in that moment. And I always try to catch that lightning in the bottle, that's my thing. Cause I think the feeling is more important than anything.
Absolutely. Well, you said like right now, a lot of people are still talking about, I don't even know why they're talking about it because it's a conversation piece. This whole, you said top 50 rappers list that came, they do it every year. And of course, there's the same debate every year. You said like, first of all, have you seen this list and would you change anything, especially within the top 10?
I have not. But I think that music is such a subjective thing that it's just so hard to even do anything about that kind of stuff, because like everyone listens to music for different reasons, but everyone also hears music at different times and they relate to it at different times, right? So say that you're a single mom and you hear J. Cole making a song about single moms. He's gonna be number one, you know, or like, or you're in the club all the time and you hear a Drake record about being in the club. You know what you're gonna do? You're gonna be like, oh, he's the greatest because he made something that catered to you in that moment. It's just so different. The guy that's sitting at home on his couch watching TV, smoking a bong or something like that is not gonna empathize with a workout record. You know, he's gonna hear a workout record and be like, this guy, this stinks. I don't want to listen to this, and he's gonna skip it. So, right. You know, if you don't catch that person at the right time, you're not even in that person's conversation.
I mean, you're absolutely right on that because I've been having this conversation since the Super Bowl. It's been an argument and people telling me, oh, you're just a hater. You saying you're wrong. But you just said something important there. You said music is subjective. You said because it's
entirely, art.
Yeah. You said it's like, they was like, well, why did you not like the Rihanna halftime performance? I was like, first of all, I didn't say I didn't like it. I said it was ant to me. It was like, well, why is it ant? She's a billionaire. That has nothing to do with the performance I saw. Oh, well, she does this. That has nothing to do with the performance I saw. Well, why did you not? I was like I said, it was ant because to me, art is subjective, and the interpretation of her art from the Super Bowl was a bunch of sperm to come to impregnate an egg to let us know that she was pregnant. We knew she was pregnant when the lights came on. That wasn't that impressive to me. Don't get it twisted. The hits were hitting, but you said the art that I saw, you said wasn't my cup of tea. But that's just me. And it's like, it's just crazy because people want you to conform to the way that they think. So you said, yeah. How do you stay so grounded and not conforming? You said what people think.
I simply don't care. You know, it's like, because their opinion of something doesn't affect anything in my life, you know, and it's like, my opinion of something is based on my own experiences, and your experiences are never going to be the same as mine. So while I can respect what you have to say and you have to offer, I don't care, because at the end of the day, it doesn't make me feel anything. It doesn't do anything for me. If you think this other guy is the greatest rapper of all time, that's great. You can think that. That's amazing. I personally don't care, you know? So I would engage in the conversation, like, you know, we're talking now. I'll engage in the conversation and be like, I'll hear your point and be like, oh, that's awesome. That's cool for you, but your life is different than mine. So I can't like hold what you say as gospel. You can't hold what I say as gospel. All we can do is kind of inspire one another with the things that we're saying, but it ultimately doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter for you. Like, if I really love something, that doesn't matter for you. You can check it out and have maybe a different ear for it, but it doesn't matter. So, you know, someone's negative or positive opinion about something doesn't matter to me. I make my own judgments and assumptions and stuff, you know?
Absolutely. They try to go down the list of oh, well, you should like this because I like this, or what. It's just like, you find it in every facet of life, whether it's entertainment, whether it's politics, or it's like, and it's funny because especially when we deal with politics, I try to stay away from politics because all of them have morons, and it's like, you can hate AOC and think she's stupid, but you can look at a Marjorie Taylor Greene and think she's just as stupid. And there are two different sides of the aisle, but they don't want to have that conversation. They want you to pick a team and stick to it. But then you're like, no, I think I'm just going to stay in my own lane. But then they were like, oh, well, you're being a sheep. Well, you're the one that stuck to a team, but I'm a sheep. Okay.
Right. Hey, dude, when it comes to politics, this is one thing that just is a fact at this point. No matter who you're supporting, my guy, you are being lied to. Doesn't matter.
Children, write that down.
It doesn't matter which one, and it doesn't matter which part of it. And it might even be a white lie or something, or it might be a positive manipulation tactic. It's a lie.
And it's crazy because you said, like I said, we find these culture wars, and then you said everybody's getting canceled. Nobody's really getting canceled.
No.
It's just, they say that. But because it's like you can't touch on certain subjects without pissing off the masses. Just because we're standing in that the realm of what we're talking about.
You can do and say whatever you want. You can do and say whatever you want. And the thing is, you can only be canceled if you allow yourself to be. There's the two reasons that you can get canceled. Number one, you have people that own every single thing that you have. So it's not you. Like a lot of entertainment people don't realize this. They're all of their stuff is owned by so many different people that they can easily be canceled because they can pull the rug at any time. But as long as you're independently you, and you take care of your own stuff, the only possible way that you can get canceled is if you give into the cancellation. So if you look at Dave Chappelle is the biggest example of this. If you just double down, you can actually get more support, you know? So it's like you said something, they're like, we don't like what you said. The second that you say sorry, that's when you become canceled, because you lose your own moral integrity. You lose everything. You're stepping down. No, not even the side that would have been with you. Everyone's going to disagree about something. You know, you're never going to appease everyone. But the side that would have been with you is now not going to support you because they're going to see that you don't even stand for what you said.
I mean, absolutely. Like,
so that's how you shoot yourself in the foot. If you're going to don't say it unless you really mean it. And if you really mean it, double down, no matter who it makes mad. I could piss off an entire community and I'd be like, I stand behind what I said. I don't care. I'll say it again. That's the only way to not get canceled.
Because I was looking at an interview with Dame Dash the other day, and he was basically saying that about Kanye. He's like, Kanye wouldn't have got canceled if he kept it away from Adidas when it was his own thing. Because when he came out with Yeezys, he was a big enough star for it to carry. But with partnering with Adidas and that being a corporation, now you kind of have to conform to what they want instead of being true to who you specifically are. Yeah,
bro. Hey. We know who said it. Sway had the answers. Sway literally had the answer. You saw that interview, right? Before he even did the whole Adidas thing, Sway told him, he's like, why can't you just do this yourself and have your own brand? You ain't got the answer, Sway. And then after all this happened, Kanye was like, Sway did have the answer.
Yeah, definitely. It's like you look at like somebody like a DaBaby. I believe he did apologize, and I think that's one of the reasons a lot of people fell off DaBaby. And
yeah, exactly, because there's so many things around that. Number one, his persona is gangster rapper, and so you want him to have a backbone. If someone says something like that, guy literally part of his image is the fact that someone ran up on him at Walmart and in self-defense he killed the guy. So he's like this supposed to look at him like this hard dude, and then if immediately he starts apologizing when someone's offended, you're like, that doesn't fit your brand. That doesn't fit your image, you know? So they don't want to support that. People care about that kind of stuff. And also with someone like DaBaby, so many people own his records, like throughout the record label and stuff, whatever. They're like, hey, people aren't going to buy this if we don't apologize. So those people then make a mistake as well because they want to, you know, they don't want it to fall back on their label or whatever the fuck, but they need to realize that everybody just has to double down. I swear to God.
It's like, well, speaking of like doubling down, he's like one of the biggest people that I know that I've seen double down is Trump. And whether you love him or whether you hate him, that's your opinion. To me, that is an entertaining motherfucker because when he doubles down, that shit is hilarious.
It is, but that's like the most commendable thing. I like Donald Trump for some reasons and I dislike him for some reasons, but that's with everybody. You know, you're always going to be kind of like, you're going to disagree here, agree there. Like I said earlier, you know, everyone goes through different experiences and there's so many different variables that it's never going to be perfect and that's okay. But definitely entertaining. And 100% I stand with him on that with like, he will double down. He'll say that and say a sentence. Someone doesn't agree with it and they want him to change it because they're offended. And he's like, I don't care. I thought about it before I said it. Or even if I didn't, I meant what I said. You know, it's like, beautiful. There it is.
But
if you're mad, maybe you're an idiot. I don't know.
Fake news. But it's like, the one thing I didn't like of you said particularly about him and specifically was the people he had around him. Because he was a lot of times you said the people you have around you says a lot about you. So like you could be sitting there, let's say Trump could have came in and be like, oh yeah, like I'm all for you saying a $20 you said minimum wage for everybody in America, blah 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 blah. But then you had everybody that's around him is so corrupt and evil and hateful, and they want us to get into wars or this that. And so like a lot of times, like I said, you got to keep your circle tight. because your circle says a lot about you. So do you have a big or small circle, and what is some things you do expect from your circle?
I actually have a pretty gigantic network of people, and my girl always says some stuff about that. She's like, "You have friends everywhere," but those people are pretty good people. And I guess if you actually look at it, it is a small circle of people. And I wouldn't be around people if they're shitty people. So I guess that overall selection is very important. Now, it depends on the industry you're in, because in politics, that's completely different. Yeah, honestly. There's nothing you can do about a lot of that stuff, because certain things are made as, even if it's, like I said earlier, positive manipulation, that stuff happens that you have to do that, right? For instance, I'll give you an example. This one guy, I work with this law firm on some stuff, and they have this one guy that's hired, and he's made up multiple lies, right? Where he's like, oh, I came up with this commercial idea, whatever. He's telling people this when it was really my entire project, you know? And he's just making up all this crap. Now that guy, when he's working on these projects with us, I'm slightly cordial. I'm a little standoffish, can't lie, but I'm cordial, and I'll call things out and be like, hey man, you can't do that. But at the end of the day, someone might see him as being in my circle, right? That guy's not in my circle at all. I fucking hate that guy, but he might be in a place that I'm in, or involved in something that I'm in. And a lot of politicians, you'll see that same thing. It's like, that guy's not in his circle. Or musicians, I mean, everyday life, that person's not in your circle. They just happen to be working on that same thing that you are. And maybe other people co-sign them, or maybe they're fake. So many people are fake and manipulative to so many different people that it's just, that's a doozy, man.
I mean, it's I try to keep my circle as tight as possible. So like, because like I said, people is like, but then also a lot of times like people make mistakes. You know, like, yeah. So are you a forgiving person? Like if somebody, like, let's say, I mean, because there's certain shit that's unforgivable, period. But like, let's say like you're on a tour bus, you got a buddy of yours that you say, and they get a little too wasted, throw up everywhere or something like that. You just like, is that something you could like, and mess up your actual show clothes or some shit like that? Is that something you could forgive?
Something like that? Yes, 100%. But once it's something that cracks into the character of that person, it's over for me. Like I'm good. I'll never talk to somebody again and not even bat an eye. You know? So
like, so what is your process of doing that? Because a lot of people don't know how to let people go. They'll sit there and stay with that toxic person in their circle, knowing, or they'll stay in a toxic relationship knowing they shouldn't be there, but they do it anyway. So like, how would you tell somebody how to navigate their way out of that? Because like I said, so many people just don't understand that concept.
Yeah, having toxic people around you. Ultimately, there's two ways to do it. There's the silent quit, which I don't really recommend, but if you can't muster up the courage or whatever, a lot of stuff in life is hard. So this is what you really got to do. If that person is there, you have to confront it. You have to talk to them. And if they're not able to even meet with you on that level, that's even more like, just exit out, because there's nothing else that you can do.
Absolutely.
So you just have that conversation. Say someone does something really, really bad behind your back. You immediately go to them and say, hey, I don't really like how you did that in this scenario. This made me upset. I didn't like this, and this. And I don't know if we can really connect and further continue down any sort of path if we're like this, because our morals don't really align. And right. If they're not open to have that conversation, or if they get offended and everything, it is what it is. You know, there's 7 billion people in the world. I don't need you. You know, it's like, especially if you're a toxic person, it doesn't matter. You're going to, you can meet other people. You can enjoy time with yourself. Those people ultimately just don't matter.
Well, he said another thing is like, because you're tatted up. You said, so like, so a lot of people may have a certain perception of you because of using all your tattoos. You said, but they don't know that you're funny as shit, or that you said you sit there and walk through the mall with your homeboy dressed as Spider-Man. You said like, yeah. But
I remember that.
So like, when you walk into a room and you have to break the ice with somebody, and all they focused on is your exterior. What's your way of breaking the ice? Because people are gonna be people, you know.
They are, man, and you just ultimately have to be unapologetically yourself. You know, it's like,
I'm not sorry for who I am. I'm not sorry for anything that I do. So I'm just going to do it. Right. And one thing that I've noticed is this is actually hilarious. You know, people don't really think about this, but this has actually broken the ice for me just having tattoos and face tattoos and stuff because people ultimately want to talk about it. Because when it comes to tattoos, the quality of the art really means a lot. You know, if like it's a shitty tattoo, you're going to look like crap. But if your tattoos are done well, people are going to look at it as art and they're going to respect it a little more. They're going to start a conversation about it. And they also like it takes the edge off to be around business people who immediately will start cursing that would normally wouldn't, but they feel comfortable because they're like, oh, this guy's definitely not going to care. Like he's in this room wearing a suit and he has his head tattooed. He's not going to look at me for saying shit because he probably said that when he was getting his head tattooed, you know? So yeah, dude, I have so many. I have this head, this side, like all my face. I went crazy, I guess, but that honestly, it's the icebreaker. The tattoos are the icebreaker. Like the appearance is the icebreaker. Now, sometimes you get people that feel a little bit insecure about it, but if you have good people skills and you're able to just talk to folks well and make them feel good about themselves, it doesn't matter. If someone's feeling, insecure and insignificant in a moment, all you got to do is give them a simple compliment to build them up. And that's not to manipulate or change anything. That's just because people need to be built up anyways. Because if you give someone a compliment and they feel better about themselves, you're going to make a better business deal. You're going to make a better, friendly function. Everything's going to be better. You know, I'm not doing it to be fake. I'm doing it because the world is a better place when people are happy.
Absolutely. So when you're not in the studio, you said where's your favorite place to be? Because like one of the things I've always enjoyed watching you do is your live streams, and you said and listening to the artists they send you in the comment section or artists they email you. It's like so I guess my question is, what joy do you get out of that? Because you said like I know because you interact with damn near every comment that you can. So what do you get out of that?
Yeah, so I do want to say one more thing about the last thing I was talking about when I was saying about complimenting someone. So if you're in a situation, maybe someone can take something from this and use it somewhere, like you were saying. So that's why I kind of want to get it out. If you're somewhere and you're meeting somebody for the first time or whatever, even if no matter what your appearance is, give that person a compliment. When you shake their hand, be like, "Oh my God, I really like that shirt," and just talk to them for a brief second about that. Immediately, it goes like wherever it is, whatever assumption they had about you, it doesn't matter anymore because they're like, oh yeah, immediately, like they feel good and they're like, oh well, thanks man, I got the shirt, blah blah blah. Next thing you know, everything that you do with that person is always going to be better. Always lead with a compliment because it makes people feel good. And making people don't remember what you say, they don't remember what you look like, they don't remember shit, they remember how you made them feel. And if you made them feel good, they're going to remember that forever. So just make people feel good, and then it's going to go a long way for you. But for me, with people in live streams, I absolutely love how I'm able to see. I don't really stream as much anymore. I stream my friend Jonah, but I'm super busy now and I haven't been streaming much. But I always liked seeing the progression of people. And if I would be able to help an artist, say I would give them a suggestion and they took that advice, because ultimately you don't have to take any advice that I give you, because what I say is not gospel. It's just my opinion. And right. All my experiences led me to a place where I can say whatever. But whenever people would progress, they would take something that I said and make something better. And next thing you know, they're progressing. Like I felt like I was helping artists in a small way doing that. And it was really, really cool, because when people do better, the world is a better place. A true measure of a man's success is not by his own success, but by the success of the people around him. And if I can make you do better, then I'm doing my job at making things better. And, I'm doing better for myself, because the only person I'm trying to be better than is the person that I was yesterday. And I could easily not do something I did yesterday, but if I can help all these people around me do the same thing, like that's really progress.
Right.
So that was really, really cool to do on live streams, honestly.
Right. It's like, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I miss them. They were entertaining. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you can bring them back soon.
I know, man. I want to stream again. I just, time consuming.
Oh yeah. You said, another thing that I listened to with that Dame Dash interview, he was basically talking about people not owning their stuff. Because I know we had touched on cancel culture, because you didn't. You said you said your product. You said people can basically dictate to you and tell you. You said how to. You said what you can and can't do. So,
Yeah.
like, if a corporation came to you today, it was like, okay, we need you to do X, Y, this X, Y, and Z. We know that that's not particularly your brand, but it's going to make you a millionaire. But you said we just need you to conform to how we do things. You said how would you walk out of that room? You said would you? Because a lot of people that do things for money, and you said a lot of people, but you said hold their own moral code and standard that hard that you said it was like no amount of money that's going to make me change who I am.
Yeah, I mean, you gave my answer in your question. How would you walk out of that room? I would walk out of the room. Very, very simple. I wouldn't do it. I would be like, no, you could offer me whatever. I would give them a negotiation and a counter offer, say that it was like a crazy amount of money, like life-changing stuff. And I would be like, okay, I don't really want to do that for this, and that. Like, these are the reasons, I would make some kind of negotiation, but if they couldn't fit terms to where I was ultimately happy with, I could go to sleep at night and not go, oh, if this guy sweeps the rug out from under my feet, I'm done forever, So I never get yourself in a situation like that, because if you get yourself in a situation like that, you're stuck, and being stuck is the worst thing ever. Now, I kind of correlate this to if you were stuck, if you were inside of a cave that had all of the crate TVs, you have a pool in there. It's like a mansion inside of this cave, but it's like amazing inside of this. Would you want to be stuck there forever just because it's a mansion? Or would you rather be on the outside where you have anything, but you don't have this luxurious inside cave What sounds better to you?
Being outside, eventually
being outside with absolutely nothing. So what you need to do is be outside with absolutely nothing rather than being trapped inside with everything, because that feeling of freedom and is ultimately so much better than being trapped within anything.
Which is, I find insanely irritating when you scroll down your Facebook or your Instagram, and there's like this big exotic mansion on the water and stuff. You could spend a year here with no cell phone, but they give you this house and $100 million. It's like, eventually I'm gonna get bored as fuck. So
yeah. Well, to be fair, I might be able to do it for a year. If it was a year and you got all that, I mean, that's pretty solid. I know what you're saying though.
I mean, in theory, yes. We would all do it, but like we were just saying, that would get boring. Because like at the end of I don't have my phone. Of course we grew up, we didn't have like cell phones and stuff like that. So but if I'm in this mansion or this luxurious cave by myself, eventually I'm going to get bored. I'm gonna want to interact with people. I'm gonna want to do something. Okay, it's only so many times I can swim laps around the pool, or eventually I'm gonna get tired of Netflix or something like that. You know what I mean? So but like before we get out of here, I want to touch on accountability. Like anybody that does music or that raps or anything, like a lot of these rappers, especially like the drill rappers, they're finding themselves in hot water for their lyrical content. Do you think
that's good?
Do you think that it might be against their free speech for being held accountable for lyrics that they're putting out, especially if it comes to find out if they're true?
Oh, so are you saying like the in court thing, like to where like they can
the in court thing, and is it just I guess we'll start with in court, like the whole YSL stuff. You know what I mean? It's like they're being held for their rap lyrics.
Oh, this is an interesting one. Yes and no. This is weird because with creativity, you could make a record about something that was inspired by something that doesn't necessarily condone it or could not be criminal evidence for yourself, right? It's not like the Young Thug thing where he's like, yeah, I had him killed or something like that. Like if you're saying some shit like that, bro, you're an idiot. Like you're free to say whatever you want, but there's going to be consequences for it. Just like you're free to do it. However, there is a consequence. A lot of people don't understand that with First Amendment type things. It's like, yeah, you can say it, but there will be a consequence for those things. Like for instance, I'm free to walk up to someone in the face and say, man, fuck you. But if he punches me in the face, there's a consequence for what I said. I was free to do it. No one is stopping me from doing it. However, something happened.
Right.
So you don't want to, get on a record and be like, oh yeah, I killed this person. I did this, this, and this. You're free to do that, but there's going to be a consequence. So,
right. And I sit there and I rattle it around from time to time because yeah, it is your free speech, but you said like, when did self-snitching become cool?
I don't know, dude. It's weird. Well, self-snitching became cool when everyone thought that they could get clout for being a certain way, because a lot of those people aren't even really about it. Like if I'm rapping about a gun, I got a gun. It's like if I'm rapping about something, it's because I have it. A lot of these dudes, they hear other people doing it and they think it's cool and it sells their persona. So they ultimately don't have it. They don't have that. They're rapping about shooting and they never did it. Like, dude, let's use that Lil Tecca record, for example, when he was like, I got 2 twin Glocks, turn you to a dancer. And then he did the thing on, what is it? Genius. And he was like, I ain't got no Glocks for nobody. I don't even own a gun. So it became so glorified that people do that. And then they get rich and then they think that they're immune and impervious to ever getting anything happening because they got celebrated for the fake shit. They lied and got rich off of it. So now you know what they're going to do? They're going to keep doing that, or even worse, they're going to actually build up this delusion in their head that they are that guy that they lied about being. Because if they got so much success for lying about it, why don't they just, I don't know, man, they get delusional about it. So I think that at the end of the day, you have to hold yourself accountable for literally everything you do. Stop making excuses for shit. Stop placing blame on other people. You're in charge of everything around you. And if you're spewing a whole bunch of negative into the world, negative is going to come back on you. I promise. If you make records where you're like, even if you weren't doing this, but you make a record where you're like, yeah, I was shooting. Or you're like, yeah, I was stealing cars, man. I steal a car and I sell crack in the hood. If you're going to keep doing that, bad shit is going to happen to you because you're putting bad shit out in the world.
Big facts. With that being said, this has been an amazing interview. Like, before we get out of here, let everybody know your socials so they can get in contact with you.
I'm just at Postcard PFV on everything. P is in Peter, F is in Frank, V is in Virginia. As I say on the phone all the time.
Oh my God, I love it. You said, look, if y'all like this video, make sure y'all like, share, comment, subscribe, turn on that bell notification so you don't miss another video. Without further ado, I love you. PFV loves you. We out of here, man. Peace.
Yep. Peace out.
Yep. I'm just hitting.
The boy Dub Deuce in the building.